Hello, everyone. I'm Daniela. While I've come to you with my very own mother-in-law story. I must say that some of the stories here are truly horrifying. Thankfully for me, I didn't have to put up with my horrible mother-in-law, Lily, for most of my marriage. In fact, I was lucky enough to have my husband, Ian, kick her out pretty early. So let me tell you what was up. I met Ian in college as we were pursuing the same subject. He was a very shy and introverted person who didn't speak to people much. We bonded over our love for music and started to date pretty early. We grew close and fell in love in no time. Ian was an amazing man with a very disturbing history. His dad died when he was 12, and his mom moved on pretty quickly after that. Unfortunately, his new stepfather was extremely abusive towards him. I won't go into the details of what happened because it is very sensitive and I don't want to trigger anyone. But let me just tell you, it was bad enough for Ian to get a restraining order against him after he turned 18. When Ian told me this story, I was curious to know what his mom was doing while his stepfather made his life a living hell. I said, "Ian, I don't understand. Why didn't your mom protect you when her husband was abusing you? Didn't she know about this?" She knew everything, Daniela. She didn't want to leave her husband and really loved him. I begged her to do something, but she simply told me to get over it. She even screamed at me when I got a restraining order against him. That is horrible, Ian. She should have protected you. Why do you still keep in contact with her after everything? I rarely speak to her, Daniela. I told her that I would support her if she chose to leave her husband. But till then, I won't have anything except the basic minimum contact. My admiration for Ian grew tenfold after I heard his story. He was working hard to support himself through college because there was no college fund for him. He was a great student and easily got a great job fresh out of college. I was also working a good job, and we decided to get engaged early, but it took us a long time to get married because of Lily. After Ian got a good job, she suddenly wanted to leave her husband. She manipulated Ian into taking over her expenses by saying that she was leaving her husband because of him. Somehow, Ian took this explanation to heart. I warned him that Lily was playing with his emotions. I said, "Ian, I don't like the way your mom is dealing with the situation. She's putting the entire blame on you and making this your fault. This is ridiculous. What can I do, Daniela? It's true that she had to leave her husband because of me. She seemed to be happy with him. Now that she's finally choosing me, it's my duty to look after her. Look, it's not a big deal that you want to look after your mom, but she is trying to monopolize you and manipulate you emotionally." I had a hard time making Ian understand that his mom was not choosing him. I couldn't bring myself to say the words that Lily was basically leaving her husband because she knew Ian could bear all her expenses now. Also, there was another problem we had with Lily. This woman hated me. She always said, "I want you to know your position in my son's life, Daniela. Just because he's marrying you, that doesn't mean you'll have him all to yourself. He is my son first and your husband later." It's funny you say that, Lily. I don't remember you ever putting your son first, and I don't care if he looks after you. We are both his family. Don't try to be a smartass, Daniela. I can throw you out of Ian's life if I want. I know you earn way less than him. I can see that you are marrying my son for money. I'll prove that to him and make him leave you. Then I'll have all his attention and money. You won't even get scraps. I didn't think Daniela was going to be a good mother-in-law. Hell, she wasn't even a good mom to begin with, but her twisted thinking really threw me off. I could see that she didn't want Ian to spend money on anyone else but her. Ian was already giving her a lot of money, so I had no idea why she wanted more. That would become relevant later. Fast forward to a year, Ian and I finally got married. I was very happy to be able to marry the man of my dreams. We were all set to move into the house that I had inherited from my parents, but my joy only lasted a week. Literally a week after we moved in, Lily showed up with all her stuff. She walked in like she owned the house and went to select a room. I watched her with confusion on my face and said, "What are you doing, Lily? Why did you come over with all your stuff?" "Are you dumb or something, Daniela? This is my son's house now, so I'll be staying here as well." "What the hell are you talking about? You cannot just walk in and demand to live here." "Listen to me, you little brat. This is my son's place, and I know he pays most of the bills, so I have full rights to live here too. I had warned you that I could kick you out of my son's life if I wanted. This is just the beginning, Daniela. If you think you can throw me out, I would like to see you try." I was baffled by Lily's audacity. I had no idea where she got so much confidence. I decided to take this up with Ian, since I wasn't going to indulge Lily with her outrageous dreams. Surprisingly, Ian knew about her moving in. He begged me to let her stay until he figured out what to do. He didn't want his mom on the street and reminded me that he had a duty towards her. I was pretty pissed, but gave him time to sort this out on his own. Nothing had prepared me for what would happen within a few days. Just a week after Lily moved in, I saw her invite someone to the house. From their talks, I could make out that this woman was an interior designer. I didn't stop them because I already had multiple fights with Lily and knew how horrible she could get. So I let them be and thought about dealing with the problem if and when it arises. The next day, I got a call from an unknown number. I picked up, thinking nothing of it. I was surprised to know that it was actually the interior designer who came to my house the other day. She asked me to meet her at a cafe because she needed to tell me something important. I was alarmed and set up a meeting immediately. I still had no idea how she would absolutely change my life. When I went to see her, she said, "Hey, I'm Sylvia. I'm sure you've noticed me here before." "Hello, Sylvia. Yes, I've seen you around. I guess my mother-in-law hired you for something." "She told me you're an interior designer." "Yes, I'm an interior designer, and your mother-in-law, Lily, hired me. It's just that I didn't think some of her demands were very reasonable, so I thought you should know about this." "Oh, tell me what's the matter, Sylvia. Actually, I had no idea why Lily had called you here. This house is mine, actually, and she's just staying here for a while. I was getting a little suspicious of why she brought you here. Oh my God, this house is yours? Girl, you need to know this right now then. Good thing I came to you straight away. Your mother-in-law is trying to put cameras in your room. She wants to spy on you and your husband." I was kind of shocked to hear what Lily was planning. I was also pretty disgusted with the fact that she was breaching the privacy of her own son and daughter-in-law. I really don't know what kind of mother-in-law does this. It was horrifying to think what would have happened if Sylvia hadn't told me about this. Wow, just when I thought it couldn't get any worse, she does this. Does she know that what she's trying to do is illegal? Yes, she's aware of that. I made sure she knew and tried to convince her not to do this. She threatened to hire someone else to do it. I was concerned about your safety and came to tell you. Thank you so much for informing me, Sylvia. I'll forever be grateful to you. God knows what would have happened if you hadn't told me. This is insane. There is no way I was doing something this horrible and illegal. But before I rejected Lily, I wanted to make sure you knew about this. You did me a huge favor, Sylvia. And you know what? I'm going to hire you instead. I've realized that we do need some cameras in the house. I'm hoping you will help me set them up. Plus, I'll need some remodeling of my office as well. Sylvia seemed excited by the idea, so the two of us came up with a plan. Actually, I was already having some doubts about Lily as soon as she moved in. Both Ian and I stayed away from the house for extended periods for a few days. I had been noticing that someone had been in the house other than Lily. I even found some weird clothes in the dryer that didn't belong to any of us, so I was getting suspicious of what was happening here. That's why I decided to put cameras in the house, and I planned to put one right outside Lily's room. I wasn't dumb enough to put them in her room because I was not that disgusting. Did I mention that it was illegal as well? So me and Sylvia made a plan and executed it perfectly. Sylvia didn't reject Lily, but promised her that she would bring the best cameras for her. Sylvia said that she needed time to get them ordered. Meanwhile, Sylvia had already set up the cameras in our house when Lily was out shopping. Sylvia is a true pro and hid those cameras easily. Then I told Ian about the cameras. Ian, I need to tell you something. I have installed some cameras in the house. What? Why? Is something going on here? Yes, Ian. Do you remember the weird clothes I found in the dryer? There had been some other weird stuff going on. I have doubts that someone else is staying in our house. Oh my God, that is insane. Yes, all the signs point to that. But how is this happening? I have a feeling that it has something to do with your mother. Look, I know you trust her a lot, but you need to wake up. She's not who you think she is. Ian started to defend Lily and got mad at me, but I reminded him of her horrible behavior, which shut him up real quick. We discussed a lot of things, but I didn't mention what Lily had tried to do by calling Sylvia. I saved that information for next time. First, I needed him to agree on his own that something fishy was going on in the house. When he agreed with me on the cameras, I could see my plan coming to form. I also made sure Ian understood that we can't tell Lily about the cameras right now. He agreed and promised not to tell. The next day, Ian and I went to work as usual. We both made sure we had direct access to the cameras in the house. We were both busy with work all day and didn't have time to check the footage. However, when we came back home, we sat down together and watched what happened throughout the day. Guys, you wouldn't believe what we found. Lily was having Ian's abusive stepfather over when we were not at home. This horrible man was using our resources and staying with Lily while we had a restraining order against him. Ian was horrified to see what Lily did. He was furious and wanted to go scorched earth. I'd never seen him this angry before. Before I could ask Ian what to do, he screamed for Lily to come over to our room. Lily rushed in and looked pretty concerned when she saw us viewing the CCTV footage. She turned pale. Hey, what are you guys doing? Ian, why were you calling me? Mom, tell me why you have brought that abuser to our house. Who gave you the permission to do that? What are you talking about, Ian? You must have gone mad. I don't talk to your stepfather anymore. You were the one who forced me to choose, remember? Yes, I told you to choose, and you chose me over him. Since then, I made sure you had to ask for nothing. I support you financially, and even convinced Daniela to allow you to stay in her house. This is how you repay me. Who did you actually choose, Mom? Are you accusing me of betraying you, Ian? My God, Daniela, this is because of you, isn't it? You've put these horrible thoughts in his head so that you can kick me out. Ian, you're being manipulated by this witch here. Don't listen to her. You know I would never betray you. Is that so, Lily? Then explain why we have security footage of that man coming into the house and going to your room." I said that and played her the recording we had been watching. Lily looked at the proof and went pale. She started to sweat and knew that she couldn't lie or manipulate her way through this. She was caught red-handed and had no way to escape. "How dare you breach my privacy and record this? You can't do this to me. This is not right." "Oh, really, Lily? Tell me what's right. Is setting up a camera in my room and spying on me right? If you can do that to me, why can't I put cameras in my own house?" "What are you saying, Daniela? Mom tried to put cameras in our room?" "Yes, Ian. Lily actually brought an interior designer over to install secret cameras in our room. The interior designer was an honest woman who told me everything. She also sent me screenshots of her conversation with Lily." Ian went absolutely ballistic on Lily after that. He felt the betrayal and disgust that I felt when I heard this. Lily started to shake from fear when the entire truth was revealed. She tried her best to come up with a good excuse for why she tried to do this. "Ian, I am so sorry. Your wife had been acting shady. I was trying to collect evidence against her. I was only trying to help you. I didn't mean any harm. I'm sure she's cheating on you and using you for your money. I was trying to protect you." "How dare you make these accusations, Mom? You are the one who betrayed me and used me for my money. You made me look after you and took my money to support that criminal who abused me." No, Ian. It was a small mistake I made. I am still sure your wife is cheating on you. I bet she's using this to get me out of your life. She wants you all to herself, so she's manipulating you against me. I swear your stepfather came over only once. It'll never happen again. Ian, you have no shame, Lily. No amount of lies can help you now. You have the chance to come clean, but you're still defending yourself and trying to pin everything on me. You witch! This is all your fault, Daniela. You purposefully sabotaged my relationship with Ian. I should have kicked you out of his life sooner. Ian, don't let Daniela come between us, please. Shut up, Mom. You are the one who brought my abusive stepfather between us, and you are the one I will be kicking out. I let you take advantage of me for years. Not anymore, Mom. Get out of my house. I never want to see your face again. Lily started to cry and begged Ian not to kick her out. Ian ignored her pleas and went to her room to get her things. As soon as her bags were packed, he threw them outside the house and told Lily to leave. Lily clutched his legs and refused to go. She said, "No, please don't kick me out. Where will I go? I have no one else. I don't even earn for myself." You can go to your darling husband, Mom. You should have thought about your finances before betraying me and trying to breach my privacy. Ian, I swear I only wanted the best for you. I was protecting you from the gold digger you have married. You have to believe me. You didn't protect me against my stepfather. You chose him over your own son. You have no right to claim that you wanted the best for me. No one will buy that now. Get out before I call the cops on you. Lily forgot the fact that it wasn't even a month since she started to live with us, so she couldn't claim tenancy and we wouldn't need eviction papers to kick her out. She realized that now and cried with all her might. She thought that her tears would move her son. Instead, Ian became even more enraged. As soon as I started to call the cops, she hurried up and left. For the rest of the night, I was busy comforting Ian, who had one of the worst nights of his life. His trauma flared up again, and he was having a hard time dealing with it. I was so mad at Lily that I wanted to find her and strangle her. I managed to stay calm and supported Ian. The next day, we went to the police and reported the stepfather for breaking the restraining order. We also called a locksmith to change all the locks in our house so that Lily could never get in. Thankfully, Sylvia had someone on hand who changed all our locks on short notice. She also showed Ian the proof that Lily had asked to put security cameras in our room. Ian knew that what I said was true. Lily kept calling me and Ian and begging for forgiveness. Yes, she also begged me for forgiveness because she knew how much she had messed up. She had no place to go and no money because she kept spending it on her husband. Her husband was arrested for breaking the restraining order and placed in jail. Lily was now completely alone and didn't know what to do. She showed up at the house multiple times, but we threatened to call the cops and kicked her out. All our family members came to know about the incident and didn't want her anywhere near them. They are good people who don't support abuse or manipulation. Last we heard, she had to leave town to figure out where to go. We haven't heard from her since, and we have her blocked. After everything, Ian had to go back to therapy to deal with his trauma. I supported him and sometimes attended a few sessions too. We also went to couples counseling to better our communication and work out the issues I had with him being a doormat to his mom. We are doing much better now and living a good life. Meanwhile, Lily is stuck somewhere trying to figure out how to sustain herself and not die from starvation. I don't care what happens to her, and I hope she has really learned her lesson this time.
My beautiful childhood friends suddenly moved into my room. You might wonder why. My name is Elijah. I'm just an average single office worker, but right now, I'm doing my best raising a child. The 3-year-old girl is active and sometimes a handful. Every day, I'm flitting back and forth between work, daycare, and home. You might wonder why a single man like me is raising a child. There's a big reason for that. The 3-year-old I'm raising is my niece, Hannah. Her mother was my sister. However, my sister and her husband died in a traffic accident 6 months ago. My parents are elderly and often in and out of the hospital due to poor health. I thought of turning to my brother-in-law's family, but they weren't on good terms, so I couldn't rely on them. I felt bad putting Hannah into an institution, so I decided to raise her myself. Luckily, I have a decent income and a good amount of savings as a single man. On top of that, my workplace is flexible with hours, and my boss, who is also raising a child, fully supports me. I was told I could take time off if something happened, and even if I couldn't work for a while, I had enough money to live on. But raising a child is not so easy. Hannah, now 3, is starting to learn words and talk about various things. But because she's still developing her language skills, there are times when she can't express her feelings well, and I am not used to raising kids. I cut back my work hours and left Hannah at my parents' home or daycare during that time, but honestly, it was not sustainable. While Hannah is usually quiet at my parents' house or daycare, as soon as we get home, she starts creating chaos, shouting, "I want juice. I want to play." If I scold her while she's throwing a tantrum, it only makes things worse. In the beginning, I was determined to raise Hannah, but after taking her in for a few months, I'll be honest, I was feeling down. Every time Hannah cried, I felt like she was saying she'd be better off with her real family, and I was feeling pressured. Seeing me like this, my parents decided to help. They sent a housekeeper to help me out. They suggested I should take a little break. They probably felt bad for putting so much burden on me, considering they were in and out of the hospital. The house was a mess, and there were many times when I felt I needed a woman's touch. I was really grateful for my parents' thoughtfulness. So today, the housekeeper was supposed to come. She's from a home cleaning service. When I saw the housekeeper who arrived, I almost screamed. Sandra? Adam? We both nearly screamed in front of the entrance. Yes, the housekeeper who came today was my childhood friend. Her name is Sandra. She used to live in my neighborhood, an incredibly beautiful girl, my first love. Sandra was just so gorgeous in every way that many other boys also had her as their first love. She had clear skin, beautiful long black hair, a figure that developed too well, and a calm smile. There was no way not to fall for her, and indeed she was extremely popular. By the time we were in the later grades of elementary school, there were love letters in her locker every day, and there was a legendary story about her receiving countless gifts on her birthday. When we got to middle school, the number of boys she turned down was countless. And I, who had been good friends with her since elementary school and often walked to school with her, was quite resented. But our relationship as good friends didn't last forever. Around middle school, she started being followed by a bad guy. Her parents decided they couldn't solve the problem and moved away with Sandra when she graduated from middle school. We kept in touch for a while, but eventually we drifted apart. And that leads us to now. I'm surprised. I thought the name sounded familiar, but I didn't expect it to be you, Sandra said. Adam, no. I didn't expect you to be the one coming either, I replied. Apparently, Sandra had received my information from the company, but now I'm not living at my parents' house, and this place is not near my childhood home. Moreover, Sandra knew that I was pretty good at housework and used to help around the house, so she didn't think I'd need a housekeeping service. But once she saw the state of my house, Sandra shrugged her shoulders. What happened here? The truth is my sister passed away in a car accident, and I've taken in my niece. Sandra used to come over to my house a lot when we were in elementary school, so she knew my sister and offered me condolences. So sorry for your loss. Hearing those words makes me a bit sentimental. I was trying to raise her well, though I know I can't replace my sister, but I've got my hands full taking care of her, and as you can see. Don't be so hard on yourself. This is your first time raising a kid. If you have time to feel down, spend it with your niece. After saying this, Sandra started to get busy. She opened the windows to let in fresh air, quickly put the laundry I'd taken off into the washing machine, and started tackling the pile of dishes. She was like a wizard. When I picked up Hannah from daycare and came back home, the house was unrecognizably clean, which even surprised Hannah. Our house is so shiny. Sandra's work should be finished by the evening. I figured she would have left while I was at daycare picking up Hannah. I felt I should have thanked her for her amazing work, and just as I thought that. Oh, welcome back. From the kitchen, Sandra poked her head out. She was wearing an apron and her appearance was that of a typical wife. Wait, Sandra, weren't you done for the day? Yeah, I was, but I just couldn't leave it like this. Oh, here's your key. I had left my key with Sandra and asked her to leave it in my mailbox when she was finished. I didn't want to keep Sandra until the time I picked up Hannah, but it seemed like she stayed anyway after notifying her company that she'd be going straight home. Nice to meet you, Hannah. I'm sorry to bother you at home. My name is Sandra. You must be surprised, right? Sandra squatted down to say hello to Hannah, but Hannah, perhaps a bit shy, clung tightly to my leg. Seeing this, Sandra smiled and said, "It's a bit intimidating, isn't it?" And then looked at me. Come on, wash your hands and gargle. I made dinner, so let's fill your tummy first. But aren't you off work? Yeah, I'm done, but I just wanted to help out personally. I hope you don't mind. Sandra looked up at me, her head cocked to one side, and honestly, I couldn't resist her charm. In fact, I was quite pleased. I had joked about wanting to try Sandra's cooking before I left to pick up Hannah, and it seemed she had heard me. Of course I can cook too, but there are times when you just want to eat someone else's homemade food, so I decided to let myself enjoy Sandra's hospitality today. Hannah was initially nervous, but the moment she tasted Sandra's hamburger, she said, "Delicious. Better than yours, Uncle." and was wolfing it down in no time at all. She warmed up to Sandra. It's a hard pill to swallow, but Sandra's burger is 10 times better than mine. I wonder how she manages to make such a juicy and fluffy hamburger. She even shaped the burger into a bear to make it appealing to children. Seeing Hannah's delighted face, even though I felt a bit frustrated, it must have shown on my face. Since you, Adam, have been taking care of Hannah, I was able to focus on the cooking. That's why it's only natural that my cooking is better than yours, she said. At that moment, I felt my heart, which had always been half-hearted about childcare, suddenly lighten. It's always like this. Sandra knows just the right words to say when you need them. When I lost a fight in elementary school and was feeling down, Sandra would comfort me, saying, "Is it really amazing to win a fight? I don't think so. You're just fine as you are, Adam." And when it looked like I wouldn't get into the college I wanted, she gently pushed me forward, saying, "It's not the end of the world if you don't get into that school. You could have other opportunities at other schools, and if you stress too much, you might fail to seize even those you could have." Thanks to her, the pressure eased, and I was able to successfully pass the exam. But Sandra moved away, and I haven't been able to return the favor. I was thinking about this while I was putting Hannah to bed. I'm a grown man, and I really wanted to do something to repay her, but I've spent a long time apart from Sandra, and honestly, I didn't know what she would want. So I asked Sandra, "Hey Sandra, I want to thank you for everything you did today. Is there anything you want?" When I suddenly said that, Sandra looked surprised with wide eyes. "What's with you all of a sudden?" "No, it's not sudden. I've been helped by you since the old days, Sandra. I just want to return the favor." That's a bit too much. Sandra tried to laugh it off, but seeing my serious gaze, she coughed a little in embarrassment. "Well, if you insist, there is something I want." "Really? What is it?" "I can't promise anything, but I'll try to get it for you." "Well, a spare key to your place." "What?" Sandra looked straight into my eyes without making a joke. "Well, without me around, Adam, I think you'll mess up the room in no time. Also, I'm worried about Hannah. Girls grow up so fast. Even you sometimes make comments that lack delicacy, so I want to stick around for a while." Saying that, Sandra extended her hand. "Are you sure about this?" "Absolutely. It will be convenient for me, and I'll be happy to have access to your house." Sandra gifted me with a warm smile, so I handed her the spare key. Since then, my life has changed dramatically. In the beginning, Sandra would come over in between her housekeeping service jobs, but that was just at first. Lately, she started staying over at my place, claiming that it's too much trouble to go home. Living under the same roof with the woman I once adored is a wonderful thing, but the reality is, with a 3-year-old girl in the house, there's no time to dwell in such moods. Thanks to Sandra taking over the housework, I can spend time with Hannah. Hannah returns home having learned a lot at her daycare. If I take my eye off her for even a moment, I'd surely be left behind her growth. So I was happy that I could properly look after Hannah, and Hannah too has seen changes. She must have associated Sandra with her mom. Hannah started to become more dependent on Sandra, and she stopped throwing tantrums. Even if Sandra isn't her mother, the presence of a woman who is there to protect her must have comforted Hannah. Before we knew it, neither Hannah nor I could imagine a life without Sandra. We started going out together, playing together, just like any normal family. It was about time to be a real man. I started thinking about marrying Sandra and wishing that we could stay together forever. But what about Sandra? Well, she's done so much for us. I wanted to believe she feels the same way, but this is not something I can rush into. With that thought, I hesitated. Can anyone blame me? I didn't want to ruin this relationship. But all things have an end, and that day came suddenly. Actually, I was married before. It was when Hannah was asleep, and we were enjoying a quiet drink. Perhaps led by the alcohol, Sandra dropped this bombshell out of the blue. "What?" I was so surprised that I involuntarily screamed out loud. I hurriedly clamped my mouth shut and looked at the bedroom. But Hannah hadn't woken up. Feeling relieved about that, I listened to the rest of Sandra's story. I thought, this guy seems nice. I can marry him. But it turned out he was a huge narcissist. He only kept me around because I was pretty, and he demanded I make an effort to stay beautiful. Can you believe that? Sandra was unusually venting as she said so. Despite her beauty, Sandra was always sought after for her looks. Whenever Sandra did anything even slightly unruly, they all left her. It's so much easier with you, Adam. You don't complain if I don't drink cute cocktails or comment on the design of my pajamas. That's just because your taste is so troubling I've given up commenting on it. What did you say? While exclaiming, Sandra puckered her lips and guzzled her beer in a robust manner. She always drinks like this, but today she was even faster and more masculine. By the way, the pajamas she's wearing today have a rather unique design, featuring a character depicted as a teacup with arms and legs sitting on heels. I wondered why Sandra chose it, but Hannah found it very good. I didn't understand it, and I'm not one to comment on Sandra's clothes. But if a woman differed from their ideal, some men would point it out or even enforce their ideals. That must be quite stifling. So, thank you, Adam. Ha. For always accepting me. I should have married you. I wonder why I never let you go. With that, Sandra slumped over the table. I thought it was her way of hiding her embarrassment, but I was wrong. Sandra had fallen asleep right then and there. Sheesh, you've had too much to drink tonight. I carried Sandra to bed. In her own way, Sandra must have struggled. All that struggle just spilled out a little. It's just because of the alcohol. This isn't Sandra's true feelings. Besides, she just mentioned she's been divorced. She's probably trying to tell me she's not thinking about getting married again. But if she does want to get married, she'd want it to be with me. I just don't know anymore. I seriously pondered what Sandra had said, but I still couldn't find the answer. So the following evening, without a nightcap, I asked Sandra. I figured I had to ask, Sandra, do you want to marry me? Caught off guard by my question, Sandra's gaze wandered a little. She stammered out, I'm sorry. I said something weird yesterday, didn't I? I get it. You have Hannah, and you're not thinking about marriage, right? Huh. We've been friends since we were kids, so we couldn't possibly see each other that way. And yet, I said something like that yesterday. Wait a minute. I want to marry you, Sandra. I grabbed Sandra's arm as she panicked, staring at her intently. Then Sandra looked at me with wide eyes. Marry me? You do. That's why I'm having this conversation. Geez, you always understand others so well. But when it comes to yourself, you're so slow. Really? No way. Sandra hugged me, careful not to wake up Hannah with her excitement. I was surprised but stroked her head. Sandra cared about me too, but she held herself back, seeing me struggle with raising Hannah, figuring I didn't need more on my plate. In other words, the two of us together couldn't take that important step. It's pathetic for adults like us, but maybe this is the result of being too considerate because we care about each other so much. But Sandra, are you really ready to get married? Usually, people are more careful about this kind of thing. I'm ready in my heart. Saying this with a smile, Sandra stepped back from me. She then took something out of her bag and held it out in front of me. When she unfolded it, it was a marriage certificate. When did you get this? You remember how I told you yesterday that I was divorced? That made me want to show my commitment, so I picked this up today. Sandra said this with a shy smile. Despite all the talk, I was determined to properly convey my feelings to Sandra, who had prepared so well. I love you, Sandra. I love you too, Adam. With that, we both broke into laughter. Not long after, Sandra and I got married. It's what you'd call a zero-dating courtship marriage. We were practically dating, but had never been on an official date or anything like that. Since we had married in that state, we were very conscious of each other's situation and very nervous about each other. Well, we were happy to be in that mix of beginning a relationship and a honeymoon period. You get what I mean, right? Despite all this, we didn't have a wedding ceremony. There's Hannah to think about after all. Besides, we thought our apartment was too small, so we bought a house, which meant we couldn't afford a wedding. Once we got the house and bought a car, Hannah, before we knew it, was 6 years old and had grown into a grade schooler. With our marriage, we officially adopted Hannah, and we became a legal family. Now, hearing her call us Dad and Mom brings us so much joy. And our family isn't just Hannah. There's a new addition on the way in Sandra's belly, our child who will be Hannah's little brother or sister. Even though Sandra's not showing much yet, Hannah has already started helping out around the house, perhaps in the spirit of being a big sister. Sandra always said that girls grow up fast, and she wasn't kidding. But there's always laughter around us. We're happier now than I could have ever imagined when it was just Hannah and me. And I am fiercely determined to protect this life at all costs. For Hannah, for Sandra, for the child who's on the way, I've resolved to do my very best. How did you find it? Your subscription to the channel motivates us to create more content. Let's meet again in the next video.
Hey there, folks. Diane here. 36. Female and boy, do I have a story to tell that'll leave you shocked and bewildered? Now, before we dive into the juicy details, let me make one thing clear. I love my husband and my life, but let's be honest, not everything's been sunshine and rainbows in my little corner of the world. Oh no, far from it. You know, I've had quite a roller coaster of a relationship with my in-laws, Vanessa and Paul. Now, I'm not one to throw around accusations without some evidence to back them up, so let me give you a bit of context. You see, I'm a black woman who dared to marry into a white family, and let's just say my in-laws weren't exactly thrilled about it. The microaggressions, the racial insensitivities, and the downright rude behavior were all part of the package deal, apparently. Now, I don't need to explain to anyone the reservations that Vanessa and Paul might have had, considering America's complicated history, and they were two rich, white, popular Southern individuals. I'm sure you can see how that might have put me at a disadvantage. But here's the thing. I've tried. Lord knows I've tried to be kind, understanding, and approachable to these people. I've extended olive branches left and right, but they just kept chopping them down like lumberjacks on a mission. Cameron, my wonderful husband, bless his heart, would do his best to stand up for me. He'd yell at his parents, urging them to do better, be better, and for a moment they'd promise to change. They'd say all the right things, make all the right noises, and we'd think, maybe, just maybe, things were looking up. But alas, my friends, hope can be a fickle mistress. No matter how many times we had these heart-to-heart talks, they would always revert to their old ways. Their racist reservations and torments against yours truly were ceaseless. It was like Groundhog Day. But instead of reliving a single day, it was reliving years of the same old song and dance. You might be thinking, Diane, why on earth did you tolerate all this craziness? Well, love has a funny way of blinding us to certain things, and I was head over heels for Cameron. I foolishly believed that as long as things were good between him and me, I didn't need to worry about winning his parents' approval. But there comes a time when you realize you've had enough, and that time was quickly approaching for me. So let me take you back to a particular event that would turn the tide and leave a lasting impact on all of us. One day, I was sitting in the living room, adding the final touches to mine and Cameron's 10th wedding anniversary vacation celebration. We were planning to bask in the sun-drenched beaches of Hawaii, the place where we first embarked on our honeymoon adventure. Cameron and I were eager to celebrate this milestone and create new memories together. As I was in the middle of planning, I got an incoming call from Vanessa. Hello? Oh, Diane, my dear, it's so good to hear your voice. I hope you're doing well. Now let me tell you, folks, The sound of Vanessa's voice being enthusiastic and kind was like spotting a unicorn in a concrete jungle. It just didn't happen. So naturally, I was suspicious. Vanessa, what can I do for you? Well, Paul and I have been thinking about it for some time. We want to throw you a surprise wedding anniversary celebration for you guys. Surprise? Why are you telling me then? Oh, it's all part of our plan, you see. Paul and I are going on a book tour for our memoir, and we thought this celebration would generate some positive press. Ah, of course, the perfect opportunity for you to get some attention. How thoughtful. Diane, darling, we just want to show our love and support for you two. It's an important milestone after all, and Paul and I would also benefit from this. It's a win for everybody. Why aren't you happy? Forget it, Vanessa. Guess I can't fight this. But if it's supposed to be a surprise, why are you spoiling it for me? Well, we thought it would be best if you were aware. You know, in case there are any preferences or details you'd like to discuss beforehand. We want to make sure that you and Cameron are comfortable. Preferences, details, Vanessa, please spare me. We both know that this is about control, not consideration. That's not true, Diane. We genuinely want to make this a special celebration for you and Cameron. Paul and I also wanted to express some potential concerns with this arrangement. Yes, please make sure that you're on your best behavior. None of that ghetto talk that you engage in. Excuse me. This is going to be a big event, Diane. More than 250 people are going to be there, promoters and publishers. I even managed to get several socialites to come to this event, so you better not blow it for us. What do you mean by ghetto talk? You know, that language that you and your people engage in. It's not proper English, so please make sure you address that. I'm hanging up the call now. What? Why wait? We have to discuss. I stormed into the bedroom, my heart racing and my blood boiling with anger. I found Cameron sitting on our favorite armchair, engrossed in a book, oblivious to the storm that was about to hit him. Cameron, you won't believe what just happened. Your mother had the audacity to insult me on the phone. What did she say? She had the nerve to tell me I shouldn't speak in that ghetto language. Can you believe it? That's disgusting. I'm so sorry, Diane. You don't deserve to be treated like this. I'm tired, Cameron. I'm tired of constantly fighting, of trying to explain, of being the bigger person. It's exhausting, and what hurts even more is that you know how toxic they are, yet you still insist on keeping them in our lives. Diane, I love you, but they're my parents, and as much as they're being awful, I can't just cut them off completely. That's what you said 5 years ago, do you remember? Of course I remember. We almost broke up because of this. How could I forget? You see, folks, 5 years ago, Cameron and I were on the brink of divorce. Shocking, I know. And you'll never guess the reason. It was because of his parents. Surprising, I know. I had had enough, and I told Cameron that he should cut his parents off completely so that we could live in peace. But he was quite conflicted. I guess it's not rocket science to understand why. I mean, they're his parents. But I simply couldn't understand why he was still holding on to them. Yes, they were his parents, but why keep such toxic people in your life? Blood isn't always thicker than water. Anyways, the arguing escalated and we almost got divorced. Seriously, I even got the divorce papers. But we managed to overcome it. What can I say? We just loved each other a lot, and we decided that we'd weather the storm together, hoping that things would change with time, as things normally do. But things stayed the same. His parents were as racist as ever, and we continued the cycle. And what has changed since then? Nothing. They're still the same, and it's affecting us and our happiness. It's affecting my happiness. I know, Diane. I know it's difficult, but I can't just cut them off completely. It's complicated. Complicated, Cameron? Sometimes the right thing to do is also the most difficult thing to do. We deserve to live our lives without this constant drama, without their racist antics. We deserve peace and happiness. Don't you think that I deserve that? Tears welled up in my eyes as the weight of our situation bore down on me. The thought of losing Cameron, the man I loved so deeply, was devastating. But I couldn't continue down this path of endless frustration and pain. Cameron, I'm at breaking point. I've been at this breaking point for years now. I need you to understand that I can't keep sacrificing our well-being for the sake of toxic relationships. We need to seriously consider cutting them off once and for all. Diane, I need some time to think. I love you, and I don't want to lose you. Let's talk about this more, but please understand that it's not an easy decision for me. Time flew by as we immersed ourselves in the preparations for the anniversary celebration. Vanessa and Paul took charge, leaving no stone unturned to make the event flawless. Surprisingly, they included us in every step of the planning process, seeking our opinions and genuinely valuing my input. It was a refreshing change to see them being so attentive and interested in what I had to say. Diane, what do you think about this color scheme? We want everything to be perfect for you and Cameron. Well, I actually think the blue and gold combination would be lovely. It's elegant and timeless. To my surprise, they didn't dismiss my suggestion or belittle my opinion as they had done in the past. Instead, they nodded, genuinely considering my words. You're right, Diane. Blue and gold it is. We want this celebration to reflect your love and happiness as much as we want to be in good graces with the public eye. It's your day, after all. Cameron and I exchanged surprised looks, cautiously optimistic that maybe, just maybe, Vanessa and Paul were undergoing a transformation. We entertained the possibility that their previous actions were more of ignorance than genuine animosity. However, deep down, I couldn't fully dismiss my reservations. It seemed a bit too convenient that their newfound kindness aligned perfectly with the release of their joint memoir and the need for positive publicity. Something felt off, and I couldn't shake that nagging suspicion. Did you see that, Diane? Maybe this book tour has forced them to reevaluate their actions. It's possible, Cameron. But let's not forget their past behavior. We need to be cautious and not let our guard down completely. As the preparations kept going, I couldn't help but notice how they were involving us in every single detail of the event. They wanted our input on the guest list, the menu, and even the music. It felt weird to suddenly be included like this, but I went along with it, waiting for something to go wrong. On the surface, it seemed like our relationship with Vanessa and Paul was getting better. They even managed to keep their racist remarks to themselves during that time. But deep down, I couldn't shake the feeling that their kindness was just a front, a way to make sure they looked good for their book tour. The day of the anniversary celebration finally arrived, and I couldn't deny the grandeur of the event they had orchestrated. It was really fancy. The venue was adorned with blue and gold decorations. But as I had requested, the table was meticulously set, and the atmosphere exuded a sense of celebration. Our friends and family were gathered, equally waiting for the surprise, not knowing that we were ready in the loop. There were also a boatload of unfamiliar faces wielding cameras and iPads, journalists, photographers, and other publicity people. As I stood by Cameron's side, anticipation filled the air. Vanessa and Paul, wearing fake smiles, approached us, ready to unveil their grand surprise. Diane, Cameron, we hope you're ready for the biggest surprise of your lives, they exclaimed. Yes, of course, surprise, I replied. Right when you two come out, pretend to be shocked, okay? Diane, if you could cry, that would be lovely. And sweetie, remember what we said. No ghetto language, please. Both of you are going to be giving a speech. This needs to go perfectly. There it was. I knew that Vanessa couldn't play nice for more than a week. Her mask began to slip, and she was being as pissy as ever, looking at Cameron like I told you so. Let's just get this over with, she muttered. Cameron and I stood outside, ready to enter the venue, trying to act all surprised and thrilled like two puppets in the circus. The emotions were all over the place, and I could feel the tears welling up, realizing that this wasn't the line I had signed up for. But hey, we had a show to put on, right? So I steeled myself and went along with it. As we stepped through the doors, the room erupted with applause and cheers, like we were some kind of celebrity duo. And there they were, Paul and Vanessa, grinning like Cheshire cats, ready to welcome us to the stage. Diane, Cameron, welcome to your 10th wedding anniversary celebration surprise. Joining in the act, we wanted to show our undying love and support for your blissful journey together. Congrats. Oh, come on, people. You can cheer louder than that. Let's welcome the lovely couple with a roaring amount of support. The crowd erupted louder, and Cameron and I made our way to the podium where his parents stood. Cameron, bless his heart, looked genuinely surprised as he hugged his parents, playing his part like a seasoned actor. The crowd ate it up, clapping and cheering as if we were the stars of a reality TV show. Little did they know the show was about to take an unexpected turn. Vanessa began speaking to the crowd, ready to continue the show, when I had a sudden epiphany. This was my moment to seize control, to let my voice be heard amidst the sea of phony smiles and hidden agendas. I wasn't about to let this opportunity slip through my fingers. Now, let's hear a few words from the queen of the event, Diane, Vanessa said. Thanks, everyone, for showing up tonight. It's quite the turnout, I must say, I began. Whispers started to spread through the crowd, praising the benevolence of Paul and Vanessa. Oh, how little they knew about what was about to go down. Now, I want to take a moment to express my heartfelt gratitude, not just for this fabulous celebration, but for the layers of endless support from my in-laws, I continued. Paul and Vanessa exchanged looks of anticipation, their faces beaming and ensuring that the camera people were capturing this moment. They were probably expecting a gushing tribute. Well, they were in for a surprise of their own. Tonight, I want to thank you both for teaching me a valuable lesson. You've shown me just how strong I can be in the face of adversity. Your presence in my life has been a constant reminder of the importance of standing up for what I believe in, even when I'm faced with ignorance and bigotry from you two. The room collapsed into stunned silence, like someone had pressed the mute button on their applause. Paul and Vanessa's forced smiles started to fade, their colors shining through for a moment. Vanessa looked at me like she was going to kill me. "What the hell are you doing?" she hissed. Carrying on, my voice steady and unwavering, I said, "This celebration is not just about Cameron and me. It's a celebration of love that transcends barriers, challenges outdated beliefs, and unites us all. It's a reminder that acceptance and unity should be at the core of our lives, regardless of our differences." The room fell into a hushed stillness. You could practically hear a pin drop. The paparazzi and the publicity crew were probably scratching their heads, wondering how to spin this unforeseen turn of events. But you know what? Deep down, in that moment, I felt the surge of power coursing through my veins. I took control of the narrative, snatching back my voice from a room suffocating with fakeness and phoniness. Ain't nobody going to dictate my story for me. All right? You all, here's where things took an unexpected turn. As the rumors and whispers spread through the crowd, I could feel the tension rising. But I wasn't about to back down, not this time. Look, you all, I've been keeping up this prim and proper act for way too damn long. It's time to speak my truth. For 10 whole years, I've endured racism and constant hatred from Paul and Vanessa. They aren't the positive and progressive couple you think they are. They're awful human beings, exact replicas of their ancestors. The crowd erupted into a symphony of mutters and gasps, like a chorus of disapproval and disbelief. But I held my ground, refusing to be silenced. Just as I was about to drop some more truth bombs, Paul tried to snatch the microphone from my hand. But I was quick, holding on to it with a grip as strong as my resolve. And you know what? This entire thing is a lie. Yep, you heard it right. Both Cameron and I knew about this surprise the whole time. Vanessa and Paul orchestrated this whole thing for their upcoming book tour, hoping to get in good graces with the public. The gasps and murmurs escalated, leaving Paul and Vanessa stunned and immobile, not believing what was happening. Cameron was just as shocked as his parents, but he also looked somewhat impressed. Vanessa and Paul want to act all nice and lovely, throwing this so-called celebration for Cameron and me. But let me set the record straight, you all. These two right here, they are the most racist, downright despicable folks I've ever come across. I have been putting up with their crap for a whole damn decade, but I ain't about to tolerate it for a second longer. The room erupted in more gasps, blending with whispers that echoed throughout. The photographers clicked their cameras, capturing every moment of the unfolding drama. The publishers, with expressions of clear disgust, seemed taken aback by the accusations being hurled at Paul and Vanessa. The truth was being exposed, and it wasn't a pretty sight. I continued to expose Vanessa and Paul, sharing numerous examples of how they had mistreated and abused me. With each revelation, the crowd grew increasingly restless, as if they were ready to take up pitchforks and torches and start a riot. What began as gasps and murmurs quickly escalated into anguished shouts from the crowd. I noticed my friends and family members among the loudest voices, fully aware that what I had unveiled was completely unacceptable. Let me make one thing clear. I will no longer tolerate this toxic environment. Cameron, I can't be with you as long as these two are in our lives. Love shouldn't come at the cost of our self-respect and dignity. I'm leaving, with or without you. Cameron wavered at my words, understanding the gravity of the situation. His expression was a mix of determination and sadness. We should never feel afraid to speak up against the mistreatment we face. Racial ignorance is nothing but a shield for those too proud to admit their prejudices. Just at that moment, Vanessa did something that made everyone jump out of their skin. She lunged at me. Could you believe it? Luckily, I narrowly avoided it, and because of the force she came at me with, she almost fell off the stage. The room was now filled with hooting and hollering. Let me tell you, the people were not pleased. The tension hung thick in the air as Vanessa shouted, "You will pay for this, Diane," ignoring Vanessa's empty threats. I composed myself and addressed the crowd once again. I've said what I needed to say. You all know the truth now. I'm done with this crap. With that, I dropped the mic and began to make my way out of the venue. As I was walking down the aisle, I was cheered at with people commending me for my strength. I didn't feel like going home at the time, and as my friends emerged from the venue not long afterward, I decided to stay with them for the time being, knowing that if I went home, it would be a battlefield. All right, let me fill you in on what went down after that intense showdown. I decided to stick with my loyal friends as things started heating up, and let me tell you, it was one fiery storm. As we rode away from that eventful night, I couldn't help but notice social media exploding with videos and posts about the whole ordeal. People were sharing clips of Vanessa almost taking a tumble, and me standing strong, speaking my truth. The internet was buzzing, and it felt like I was finally able to put this whole mess to rest. I had zero intention of ever crossing paths with Paul or Vanessa again. A few days later, Cameron dropped a bombshell on me that shook me to my core. Turns out his parents had to pull their books from the shelves because of the relentless backlash and negative press. Can you believe it? Now they were scrambling, trying to salvage their reputation by issuing public apologies. But you know what? Nobody was buying it. Paul and Vanessa were officially canceled. Cameron had a change of heart too. He finally realized that he hadn't been the best husband to me. He confessed that he was ready to cut his parents off from his life and our home. And in that moment, he asked me to come back home. He wanted us to rebuild our lives together, free from the toxic grip of his parents. Now, I'm not one to forget the pain and hurt easily, But I believed Cameron. So after a lot of thinking and soul-searching, I made the decision to return home. We knew we had a lot of healing and rebuilding to do, but we were ready to face it together, stronger than ever.
If you don't do what I tell you to do, we're divorced. And he handed me divorce papers. Sooner or later, this was bound to happen. All right then, let's get a divorce. What? I filled up the divorce papers in front of him. All right then, I'll fight it. It was he who gave me the divorce papers, but for some reason, he's stunned. You don't get it, do you? Without me, you'll be all alone by yourself. Yeah, I'm alone by myself. Is that all you want to say? Then that's enough. I'm busy with packing for moving out. What are you packing for moving out? What? It's obvious, isn't it? I'm going to divorce you and move out. It's a perfect timing in the end. My name is Sarah. I married my husband Jason a few years ago. We're childless, and we both work. My parents died in an accident in my first year of work, and I've been all alone ever since. I was really appreciated when we got married. I wanted to make my own family with him. I wanted 2 children. I had such high hopes for a bright future. However, the reality was far from that. After our wedding, Jason's attitude gradually became cold. Sarah, if I'm gone, you'll be a loner again. Jason would always bring up this phrase whenever we got into a small argument. He would attack me by my weaknesses and always get into a fight, because he complains about my housework. Ah, is this stir-fried vegetables for dinner tonight? The dishes for old people. Didn't I call you to ask what you want to eat today? You said whatever. Yes, but I still think a housewife should think about what her husband wants to eat and cook it. I was in the mood for pizza today. Then say so. You should know without asking. You'd complain no matter what I cook. What did you say? I work just as hard as you do, and I'm the only one who takes care of the housework. Don't talk like that. You said before we got married that you like doing housework. It's true I like it, but if you're always complaining about it, I don't want to do it anymore. I see. What? No, I just thought you were being cheeky. Cheeky? If you are making that comment, it makes you think less of me. I don't like that about you either. You're always reading into things. I don't want a wife who talks down to me like this. Here we go again. Next, you'll just start bringing up the fact that I'm alone in the world. And then another synonymous statement from Jason that he always says, well, maybe having kids will make your loneliness go away. Maybe it's time for us to have kids too. Jason never forgets to say this after an argument. When we just got married, I wanted to have a baby right away. But early on in our marriage, the husband who had been so kind to me was gone. Now that he has turned into the man who just complains, I'm hesitant about having children with him. It's true that I have no other relatives than Jason, but before I married him, I was living on my own. I have enough money to save and really not go back to being alone, but there are times when I would rather go back to being alone than have Jason threaten me. If I had a child, I would spend the rest of my life being abused by him, and he would abuse me in front of them. When I think about it, I just can't help it. I couldn't move forward with Jason, but he didn't like this either. Before we got married, you said you wanted kids right away. So why are you so reluctant about having a baby after we got married? This is fraud, isn't it? If that's the case, why don't you make me feel comfortable to have kids, huh? Are you going to complain about my cooking even in front of the kids like that? And complaining about my housework or about the way I fold the clothes? I'm not complaining. I'm just saying what I think. That's just how it sounds to you, because you're a perfectionist. I guess your personality gets distorted if you don't have parents in your childhood. What do you mean? You're making a fool out of me. I'm not making a fool out of you, Jason replies with a goofy grin. The look on his face is the best proof that he's making a fool out of me. And to top it off, there's my mother-in-law. Any grandchildren yet? That's what I'm always asked when I visit my parents-in-law's house. That's right. You should tell her too. She's not helping at all. Sarah, what's going on? My mother-in-law stares at me. I couldn't say anything. Well, I guess there are things going on. Jason, you should talk it over with Sarah. I talk to her all the time, but this woman... Don't call her this woman. Just make sure you and Sarah talk it out, okay? Okay, I understand. My mother-in-law doesn't talk too much. She's been living alone ever since her husband died. She's not a bad person, but she's always saying, "Any grandchildren yet?" And it's really tough on me. I can tell she's really looking forward to it, so I could never tell her that I'm not sure if I want to marry Jason because of his personality. I had no choice but to keep my mouth shut. Then my mother-in-law had an accident. I got a call from Jason and left work early to rush to the hospital. I guess I arrived earlier than he did. I'm sorry for disturbing you, Mother. Are you all right? I'm fine, as you can see. Well, it's just that, I broke a bone in my leg. Oh my God, you don't have to cry like that. I just burst into tears. I'm sorry. I was afraid I might also lose you by an accident. I was so worried on the way here. Oh, well, I guess he didn't tell you. Well, I'm sorry I made you worried. I'm sorry you had to remember what happened to your parents. This was the first time my mother-in-law and I talked about a lot of things. You should go home now. But I'll wait for Jason to come. I'll go home with him. Then my mother-in-law said, "He's not coming, so you can just go home." That's not true. I'm his mother, I know. It's sad, isn't it? And my mother-in-law was right. He didn't show up even after visiting hours. When I came home, he was watching TV. What are you doing? What do you mean? You called me to tell that your mother had an accident today, didn't you? So why didn't you come to the hospital? Oh, I thought you were going. One is enough, right? She's still alive anyway. Right then, it's not a big deal. She's the only mother you have, right? Shut up. Just make me some food. I'm hungry. You haven't eaten? Of course not. Why should I spend my own money when you're going to cook? I am not doing it. I'm not cooking. I'm going to bed. Don't you dare talk to me like that. You know if you make me angry, you'll divorce me, right? Then do it. I was hungry, but I was so annoyed by what Jason said and did that I stayed in the bathroom, determined not to cook a meal for him. The next morning, I woke up and he was already gone. From that day on, he never came home. I guess he was hiding out at his parents' house. I just left him there after work. That day, I rushed to the hospital where my mother-in-law was. I didn't tell her about Jason. I didn't want to cause unnecessary worry to my mother-in-law, who was in the hospital. I went to visit her every day while she was hospitalized. Thank you so much, Sarah. I know you and Jason are not getting along. Thank you so much for looking out for me in that situation. I'm sorry. You don't have to apologize. I could imagine what happened when I know. You know that you didn't want to have kids. He must have done something to you. I didn't know what to tell my mother-in-law. All I could do was keep silent. A woman's intuition can be right. He is the one who made you worry about having children, so it's okay now. I was looking forward to having a grandchild too. And I drove you into a corner, by asking you over and over again. I'm sorry. I'm sorry I couldn't live up to your expectations, too. It was just as we were having this conversation that the doctor told us that the treatment would take more time. But she's about to be discharged from the hospital. She lives alone, and she will need someone to help her until her legs heal. So, I can afford to help her. I talked to the company about it, and they gave me permission to work remotely on a limited timeline. When I told my mother-in-law about it, she felt sorry for me to go through that, but I persuaded her strongly. On the day of the discharge from the hospital, I picked up my mother-in-law and arrived at my in-laws' house. But it was awkward to see Jason. He should still be at work at this time. I was supposed to meet him at night, and even if he approached, I felt uncomfortable. My mother-in-law is looking at me strangely. Actually, we had a bit of a fight with Jason and he left the house, so we'll be seeing each other for the first time in a while. Today, my mother-in-law is looking awkward. See each other where? This is the only place I can think of where he would go. Then my mother-in-law's face turned stern. I see. I'm sorry. Why are you apologizing? Jason is your precious son. I'm sure you're uncomfortable with the fact that I blamed him for our quarrel. No, not at all. He's the kind of boy who never comes to visit me. What? He never came to visit you? No, never. I was mortified. My mother-in-law was in the hospital for 2 weeks, and he didn't visit her once during that time. Well, he's not that sweet boy, is he? What do you mean? Sarah, I need you to calm down and listen to me. He doesn't have a key to this place, so he is not here. That means it's okay. I have an idea. Let's talk about you and me first, and then my mother-in-law may meet a surprise. A week passed, and I was back in the house where I lived with Jason, packing my bags. As I was packing, I heard the front door open. Oh, just in time. I wanted to talk to you. I'm busy. How's Mom doing? Why don't you come see her for yourself? Huh, you're the one taking care of her, so I don't have to go. I mean, you're the one who's supposed to be taking care of Mom. If you don't do what I tell you to do, we're divorced. And he handed me divorce papers. Sooner or later, this was bound to happen. All right, then let's get a divorce. I filled up the divorce papers in front of him. All right, then I'll fight it myself. Jason was the one who gave me the divorce papers, but for some reason he's stunned. You don't get it, do you? Without me, you'd be all alone by yourself. Yeah, all alone by myself. Is that all you want to say? Then that's enough. I'm busy getting ready to move out. Where are you getting ready to move out? What? Oh, it's obvious, isn't it? I was going to divorce you and move out. It's a perfect timing in the end. Then who will take care of Mom? Don't worry, I'll be there for your mother. You are an idiot. You know what? You would get your inheritance by sticking up for my mom when Mom dies. I'll be the one to get the inheritance, the only son. You're not my son anymore. Since I swirled in surprise when my mother-in-law came out of my room. Oh, why are you here, Mother? You need nursing care, don't you? I was here to help Sarah move out, you stupid bastard. I can move on my own with these crutches. My only child is Sarah. I don't need a childhood after my inheritance, even when I'm not dead yet. You won't get anything. I'm divorcing her. Then she's not entitled to the inheritance. I'm in the process of adopting a child. What? I'm also in the process of disqualifying you from inheriting. You won't get any penny of my money. You old... Jason tried to grab my mother-in-law. I quickly pushed him away, took my mother-in-law by the hand, and left the house. Hey, are you his wife? a strange woman was standing in front of our house. "Oh, it's you. You're the one who's having an affair with—" "What?" "Well, for now, I mean, did you write the divorce papers? Please get out of this house as soon as possible." I see. So Jason had rolled into this person's house. I was surprised by the woman's sudden visit, but I had zero feelings about Jason's affair. I was rather excited that I could get alimony for this. And then Jason came after us. He flinched when he saw the face-to-face with his girlfriend. "You're the one who made her wait here. So you were having an affair, "Thank you. I'll make sure I get my alimony." Jason stood there stunned. My mother-in-law and I got into the car and drove away with him standing there. Then we went to the city office and filed the divorce papers. After that, I demanded alimony from both of them, as I had declared. They made excuses, but their intense relationship was easily exposed through the free-spirited girlfriend's social media. They both transferred large sums of money to me. The cheating partner was after my mother-in-law's inheritance. She disappeared from my ex-husband's life as soon as she found out that he was not going to get his inheritance. I guess they were very much alike, both after money. And Jason came to my parents-in-law's house many times to try to get back together, but his mother refused to see him. I blocked his contacts early on so he couldn't call me. A couple of times, he called me from an unknown number, but I don't have to deal with unknown numbers. Since then, my mother-in-law's leg has recovered completely, and she is doing very well with no after effects. I'm very grateful to my mother-in-law for suggesting to stop me. And now, several years later, I'm still enjoying my life with my mother-in-law. I am no longer alone. We can be a royal family if we care for each other, even if we are not connected by blood. I will continue to spend my life with my mother-in-law. My mother. It's unforgivable to take your wife witness and do whatever you want to her. And his reason for wanting to have children is terrible. He will never be happy. I hope Sarah and her mother will be happy in the future. Thank you for watching. Please subscribe to our channel if you like. See you in the next video.
Hello, guys. My name is Rose, and this is my story. My mother-in-law, Sherry, is a vain and shallow woman. It's not like she had always been like this. Her behavior change happened later in life, or at least that's what my husband, Dylan, swears. Dylan and Sherry didn't grow up very rich. They lived a moderate life, just the two of them. Dylan's father passed away when he was 4. Since then, Sherry was the one who became the breadwinner. They lived a simple life until Dylan found a great job after college. I'm not saying this because he is my husband, but Dylan is a very intelligent and kind man. He got a full ride to medical school and became a doctor. After that, Sherry started to live a luxurious life. Meanwhile, Dylan stayed humble. Do you know why I'm giving you all this backstory? Because I still don't understand how and why Sherry became such a shallow woman. Look, I don't have a job for several reasons that I will mention later, but that doesn't mean I am poor or rely on others for help. Somehow, Sherry got that impression of me when we first met. I don't know if it was my clothes or my mannerisms that repelled Sherry. On our first meeting, she said, "Dylan, this is the girl you've been raving about. She's so plain and average. Why would you even choose someone like this girl? Do you even have a job?" My name is Rose. Sherry, no, I don't have a job. But just as I thought, so you plan to trap my son and drain all his money. Look, girl, I know women like you. You are nothing but gold diggers and parasites. Don't think that you can fool me. Mom, that is so rude of you. Do you even know what you are saying? Rose is a great girl coming from a great family. You have no right to talk to her like that. Dylan, how can you talk to me like that? I'm only trying to look out for you. You can't spoil the name of our family by marrying this classless woman. You have to better your standards. She's not of our social or economic status. That is very clear. This led to Dylan and Sherry having a full-blown fight right in front of me. Dylan was getting pretty mad, so we decided to leave. On our way back home, Dylan apologized for his mother. He said, "I'm so sorry, Rose. My mom doesn't know how to act like a sane person anymore. I know that her words have hurt you. Dylan, it's not your fault, but your mom seems to be a horrible lady. Please don't mind her words. But I don't think I'll ever be comfortable around her. Rose, you know that she's the only parent I have left. We don't have a lot of extended family either. I can't cut her off completely. I'll never push for you to be friends with her, but at least can you be civil around her? I can act respectfully towards your mom, Dylan, but I don't think your mom will be able to do that. Don't worry, Rose. I'll keep her in check. If she escalates her behavior, we can think about going low contact or something. I love my mom, but I also love you. I won't let her keep harassing you for nothing." I was a little skeptical of how my and Sherry's relationship would be like. Dylan did assure me that he would stand up for me, but somehow I still felt uneasy. Me and Dylan got married 3 years after we started to date. We had a court wedding because we were short of funds. Why, you may ask? Well, Dylan was sending Sherry a lot of money every month because of her emergencies. Even after getting married, Dylan was giving his mother a big amount every month. It was starting to affect our finances, but I didn't stop him. I always thought that he had the right to help his mom. However, Cher was becoming a big problem for me. She regularly talked ill about me and gossiped with her friends. I knew that she had been telling everyone what a gold digger I was. I usually ignored these comments, but it was starting to affect my reputation. Cher also never acted nice to me, despite Dylan's efforts to bring us closer. Sherry was adamant that I was beneath her and didn't deserve her son. Surprisingly, one day Dylan said, "Rose, Mom called me today about something. She's hosting a small party and wants to invite you." "Are you sure she wants to invite me?" I asked. I don't see why she would do that since she hates me. I've talked to her multiple times, Rose. She's promised to be better. I guess that's why she's inviting you to the party, Dylan replied. That's strange, Dylan. I wonder where she is getting so much money to party. Just this month she said that she needed money for car repairs. I guess she managed somehow. It's a small gathering of 4 people or so, Rose. It won't be very expensive. Mom seems excited about the part and she wants you there. Well, if that's what she wants, I'll go. You know that I don't mind spending time with her. It's just her comments and behavior towards me that's creating problems. It looks like Mom is making an effort. Let's see what happens. Just keep an open mind about this. I really want you two to become friends, Dylan said. I highly doubted that Sherry would ever be friends with me. I mean, I can be civil to her and try from my side because I love Dylan, but it didn't seem like Sherry cared anything about Dylan's happiness. Even though I was skeptical, I decided to go to the party. But I had to wait to get details from Sherry about it. Sherry texted me the very next day. I thought that she was going to invite me through these texts. Well, this is what happened instead. Sherry texted, Hey Rose, Dylan may have told you that I've been planning a party recently, she began. Yes, Sherry, Dylan mentioned it to me last week. Are you texting to talk about that? I replied. Why else would I text you, Rose? You're no use to me anyway. So I've been planning to go to this 5-star hotel in town. Everyone has been raving about it. I promised my friends that I would take them there. This is finally my opportunity. That's nice of you, sure. Will there be a lot of people? Yes, of course. You know that I have many friends since I am a wealthy lady. My family has a good name in this town, Rose. I'm going to take 15 people to the party. We're going to have a blast. Sounds like a great plan, sure. When do you want me to get there? Who the hell said that you could come? I didn't invite you yet, guys. I was a little taken aback by this. I mean, Dylan clearly told me that his mom was going to invite me. Apparently, Sherry had said so to him herself. He was genuinely happy for the past week because he saw this as Sherry trying to build a relationship with me. But what Sherry said threw me off completely. In fact, I was really confused as to why she was even telling me about the party if she didn't want to invite me. I said, "Oh, I assumed I was invited since you told Dylan that I was." I'm a little confused. Dylan can get a little carried away at times. Rose, I'm just informing you that I will be hosting a party. You are not invited. This is a posh place. Me and my friends are very particular about who we take with us. I know I am throwing a party at a 5-star hotel, but you dare not come because you are not classy like my family and friends. Okay, sure. I got the message loud and clear. Don't worry, since you don't want me to come, I won't. I don't care what Dylan said. If you don't want me to come, I won't. This is your day, and I don't want to be where I'm not wanted. I'm glad that we cleared that up, Rose. That's all I had to say. Now I need to get back to planning the party. I have a lot to do. You won't understand since you have probably never been to a big party, let alone planned one. After that, I didn't send her any reply. People know me to be patient and kind, but I have my limits like everyone else. Sherry was testing me today. I hated myself for having even a little hope that Sherry would extend an olive branch. Nope, she was just showing off her status and making me feel inferior again. There was no olive branch. I was wrong and felt stupid, but I knew how to preserve my dignity. I wasn't going to curse her out on anything. I had much better things to do. Karma would come for her one day. I knew that for sure. I didn't tell Dylan anything and simply waited for the day of the party to arrive. On the day of the party, Sherry had the gall to send me a nice picture with her and her friends. They were dressed from head to toe in designer stuff and were busy posting pictures on their social media handles. Sure sent me the picture to show me how classy her friend circle is. It was downright disgusting. I didn't entertain her with a reply. I went back to work and waited. After about 3 hours, I got a call from my dad. Now here's where I should confess something to you guys. My dad is the owner of the hotel that Sher was going to. Sherry had no idea about that. 3 years back, I got a nice inheritance from my grandfather, which I invested in my father's business. So now I get a part of the profits from the hotel and the other businesses that my dad owns. I actually come from a pretty well-off family, but I don't like to broadcast that to the world. That's why Sher didn't know about my background. She also didn't know how expensive a 5-star hotel and its restaurant can be. She let her friends order what they wanted without even looking at the menu and its prices. The result? She was left with a $22,000 bill that was exactly what ruined her and gave me my revenge. My dad called and said, "Your mother-in-law is at the hotel, Rose. She came here with a party and ordered a hell of a lot of stuff from the menu. She racked up a bill of $22,000 with all the food and champagne. Now she's asking for a 50% discount as she's short on cash. What should I do, Rose? I know she is your mother-in-law, but it is a lot of money. My servers are also pissed at them. Because they were rude and entitled, God, just as I expected, Dad. This woman and her team are absolutely horrible. They have no respect for people and love to make fun of others. You know, she boasted to me about today's party and said that I was not invited. What the hell? Why would she do that to you? That is absolutely ridiculous. Yeah, Dad, she told me about the party to throw it in my face that I wasn't invited to it. She said that I was not classy or rich enough to get an invite. That's funny coming from the woman who doesn't even have the money to pay for her party. You should have seen her arguing that we need to give her a discount. She said that since she got us so much business, she deserves the discount. She went to the restaurant one day and is already claiming that she brings all the business. So typical of Rose. Just listening to this is exhausting. No wonder what you and our poor staff are going through. I know, right? That woman even threatened to leave bad reviews if we didn't oblige. We know better than to get scared of that. I'm going to leave this to you, Rose. Looks like you have the perfect chance to take revenge for what she said to you. That's exactly what I had been thinking, Dad. You know what I have in mind. Make her wash the dishes. Get her team to join as well. Make sure they clean the entire kitchen, the dishes, and the floor since they insulted our staff as well. Let's get them some revenge too. Tell them to stay back and only watch the party. Clean everything. If my mother-in-law tries anything stupid, you can call the cops on her. My dad laughed at my suggestion and gave me a big thumbs up. He even offered to share pictures of the event when it happened. I really would have loved to see Sherry reap what she has sown. Dad promised to do as I suggested and hung up. An hour or so later, Dad sent me pictures of Sherry and her friends washing dishes and wiping the floor at our restaurant. Dad also said that when Sherry saw him come out as the restaurant owner, she looked really relieved. She started to tell her party that she knew the owner and they would get out of the situation. She was extremely taken aback when Dad told her to go clean his restaurants. Apparently, she was dumbstruck for a while and started to mutter something. Dad said that since she didn't consider me family, he wasn't considering her family either. It was hilarious. I wish I was there, but I did get some good pictures. After a while, Dylan came home looking pretty pissed off. I could tell that he had heard from Sherry what had happened. I also knew that Sherry must have given him a twisted account of the events that followed. He walked up to me and said, "Rose, what is this I'm hearing? Your father made my mom wipe down his restaurant and wash the dishes. She said that you told your dad to do this. What is going on?" Sorry about that, Dylan. Dad did what is the usual norm for us in this situation. Your mother went to our restaurant, racked up a $2,000 bill, and then said that she didn't have more than $1,000. She also harassed our staff, and her party has been a nightmare, so I thought only this would be a fitting punishment. Wait a minute, Rose. Mom racked up a $2,000 bill. Who the hell did she take with her? What did they order? She took 15 people with her, Dylan. They ordered a lot of stuff, especially the fancy ones. I thought you knew about this. Mom told me that she is taking 4 people only, and she told me that she invited you, but you declined. No, Dylan, things didn't happen that way. Your mom did tell me about her party, but she didn't invite me. She did tell me that I didn't deserve an invite for not being as classy as her. I can show you the text if you want. What the hell, Rose? Yes, please show me the text, and please ask Vance to send me the bills. I showed Dylan all the text, and my dad sent him the bills. I also showed him some of the pictures to make him understand how many people Sherry took with her. Dylan got extremely mad when he saw everything. He called Sherry and said, "Mom, what the hell is wrong with you? You didn't tell me the full story. You only told me that you were a few dollars short of cash." I told you the truth, Dylan. God, that wicked woman, Rose, must have given you a different story. I swear, Dylan, she purposely tried to sabotage me. That's why she declined my invitation. Is that so, Mom? Then why did your text to her say that she wasn't invited? And why did you insult my wife by saying that she is not classy enough for you? Oh, Dylan, it was just, a harmless joke. What was a harmless joke, Mom? The fact that you are calling your daughter-in-law names while spending thousands of dollars that you took from your son. Does being classy mean you have to rob your family and spend it on friends to look cool? Well, I just wanted a small party for me, Dylan. I don't know what the big deal is. You think spending $2,000 freaking dollars on food and drink isn't a big deal. Do you think my money grows on trees? You are insane, Mom. I guess I was wrong to give you money whenever you gave me sob stories about needing it. Well, guess what, Mom? I'm not giving you any freaking money again. But Dylan, you've been so supportive for me for so long. You can't just stop now. It was a one-time mistake, Dylan. Why are you overreacting? No, Mom, I'm not overreacting. This is not a one-time mistake. If you can't even consider my wife as family, I don't want anything to do with you. I always thought that you would change your mind, but you never did. I'm not paying you to insult my wife and call her classless while she sacrifices a lot to support you. This ends now, Dylan. Dylan, please listen to me. I am sorry. Dylan didn't listen to Sherry anymore. He hung up on her and blocked her number. He also apologized to me profusely for being mad at me without knowing the full story. I forgave him because, well, he did stand up for me. We had a serious discussion about Sher and jointly decided that she will no longer be in our lives for now. Yes, Dylan is now a rich man, but he knows to stay humble. He found Sherry's behavior completely unacceptable, especially because it was directed towards me. I agreed with the fact that it was very unfair to me that Sherry treated me like that, and I was all set to remove her from our life for good. In the next few days, Sherry reached peak madness. She realized that her own actions may have damaged her relationship with her son for good. That sent her into a horrible panic. She showed up at our house and demanded to speak with Dylan. Slowly, her demands turned into begging after she was turned away from the door every time. Yes, Sher worked to earn some money. However, it wasn't enough for the high-end lifestyle that she had gotten used to all these years. Dylan had stopped giving her money entirely. Instead, he invested some of his funds into my dad's business to help him open new hotels and restaurants in the neighborhood towns. We do plan on taking our hotel business to bigger cities, but we will have to see what the future holds. Since Dylan stopped sending her funds, Sherry had to downgrade her lifestyle a lot. She was struggling to keep the rented condo with her own money and ultimately decided to end her lease. She has now shifted to a small one-bedroom apartment and doesn't have any money to spend on extras after all the bill payments. How do we know this? She emails us about it, of course. She still downplays her behavior and acts like we are overreacting. Suffice it to say, she will be out of our lives for a while now. Just a month ago, I found out that I was pregnant. Me and Dylan are overjoyed and busy planning everything before the baby comes. To be honest, I'm glad that my child won't be around shallow people like Sher anymore. But if the time comes, I will make sure my dear mother-in-law doesn't get to fill my child's head with nonsense. For now, please wish us luck so that we can be good parents to a healthy child.